Why would a woman abandon the man she loves on her wedding day, even when it means poverty, loneliness, and uncertainty? Jane Eyre is often remembered as a romantic novel, yet at its heart it tells a far more radical story. The story of a woman who refuses to betray her own moral independence. In this video, we'll explore how Charlotte Brontë transformed a simple love story into a powerful journey toward identity, dignity, and freedom.
A plain, orphaned girl stands alone in the cold silence of a hostile world, facing a society that tells her she has no value. Inside her is a fire that refuses to go out. This is the heart of Jane Eyre, a story that revolutionized the modern novel by placing a female protagonist's spiritual and moral pilgrimage at its center. It is not just a romance, but a battle for identity and the right to say, "I matter." Published in 1847 during the Victorian era, the novel challenged rigid social hierarchies and gender roles. The author, Charlotte Brontë, drew deeply from her own life, using her experiences at the harsh Cowan Bridge School as the basis for the fictional Lowood institution. To avoid the gendered prejudices of the 19th century literary market, she and her sisters published under masculine pseudonyms, with Charlotte becoming Currer Bell. The book feels like an intensely private communion because it is written as a first-person fictional autobiography. Bronte uses a direct voice that puts the reader right inside Jane's mind, making her interior struggles feel modern and immediate. Her prose style is noted for its unvarnished simplicity and hypnotic immediacy. When Jane stands up for her own worth, she famously declares, "Do you think because I am poor, obscure, plain, and little, I am soulless and heartless? You think wrong." While many see this as a romantic tale between a young governess and her employer, it is fundamentally a coming-of-age journey, or Bildungsroman. It traces Jane's development from a powerless child to an independent woman. Jane's life begins in misery at Gateshead Hall, where she is abused by her aunt and cousins. A defining moment occurs when she is locked in the terrifying Red Room as punishment, a psychological space representing her early trauma. Eventually sent to Lowood School, she gains education and inner strength despite the cold and hunger. She finds a precious friend in the saintly Helen Burns, whose tragic death teaches Jane resilience. At 18, Jane becomes a governess at the grand estate of Thornfield Hall, teaching a young French girl named Adele. Here she meets Edward Rochester, the master of the house, and they find a deep emotional connection. However, on their wedding day, a shocking secret is revealed. Rochester is already married to Bertha Mason, a woman he has kept hidden in the attic for years. Though Jane loves him, she refuses to live as his mistress and sacrifice her integrity. She famously asserts her autonomy by declaring, "I am no bird, and no net ensnares me. I am a free human being with an independent will." Jane flees into the moors, nearly dying of starvation before being rescued by the Rivers family. In a final twist, she discovers she has inherited a fortune, finally gaining the financial independence she needs to be Rochester's equal. One of the most interesting features of the book is how the physical places Jane lives, Gateshead, Lowood, Thornfield, Moor House, and Ferndean, each act as a crucible for her growth. Every house represents a new stage in her maturity, showing that our environment can help us discover our true selves. The story explores the critical balance between personal love and individual independence. It also serves as a sharp critique of social class, showing that a poor governess can be the intellectual equal of the landed gentry. We still read Jane Eyre because her struggle for belonging is a universal human experience. Everyone understands the feeling of being judged by their appearance or status, and the hope of finding someone who sees their true self. It is a story for anyone who has ever had to choose between what is easy and what is right. Jane famously concludes her story with the words, "Reader, I married him." By saying, "I married him," rather than "he married me," she shows that she is finally the active subject in control of her own life. In a world that tried to define her, Jane Eyre successfully defined herself. It reminds us that the greatest love story is the one where we learn to respect our independent will.
Thanks for listening to Books Simply. If this explanation helped you understand the book more clearly, feel free to explore the next video in this series. New book explanations are added regularly. If you spot any mistakes or have suggestions, feel free to share them in the comments. If this helped you, a like is appreciated. You're welcome to subscribe and let us know which book you'd like to hear next.